I'd like to call the Mahoney County Board of Elections regular meeting for Tuesday, March 8th, 2022. Would the director call the roll, please?
Sure. Attorney Beatrice,
Here.
Ms. Barger,
Here.
Mr. Arant,
Here.
Ms. Pesta. She's here and on her way.
Okay. I would ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could have a moment of silence for our nation and for those human beings that are sleeping in bomb shelters tonight and praying for peace for the world. I said that right, Joyce. But thank you for reminding me of that publicly. Want to do anything else to embarrass me, or is that enough now tonight? Okay, we have to swear in the clerks, James Malarkey and Jeanette Titzler. Who wants to, go ahead.
Board members to swear in.
Okay. I state your name.
I,
I,
Jake Moore,
Jeanette Ditzler,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
uphold the Constitution of the United States,
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the laws of the State of Ohio,
the laws of the State of Ohio,
the directives as given to us by the Secretary of State.
the directives as given to us by
with the Secretary of State.
I do so this as I answer to my God.
I do so as I answer to my God.
Thank you. Congratulations. I'd like to have a motion for the approval of the minutes of February 12th, 2022.
I'll make said motion.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Would the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Pesta,
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice,
Yes.
Ms. Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Arant.
Yes.
I'd like to have a motion to approve the bills and accounts of payments from January through February of 2022.
I make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Is there any discussion? Would the director call the roll?
Ms. Pesta,
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice,
Yes.
Ms. Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Arant.
Yes.
Chairman's report. I have a couple of things. First of all, how is our chart and going out into the community thing going? So would someone give me a report on what everything is here?
So, Mr. Chairman, you have three different flow charts there. One is for children, grade school level, and the other two are at your choosing. You can review for college age and high school and civics groups and all the different groups out into the community that would be more concerned with security. That's our start on the flow charts. We reached out to Kids Vote. We have not yet set up a meeting with them. In terms of reaching out and starting the outreach and what kind of letter they want to send and what part we do and what part they do.
Okay.
And that's it, we haven't set the meetings, they haven't called us back.
That's right.
Do we feel confident enough to start reaching out to various civic groups in the county for us to go out and talk to them?
I think we would be comfortable over these next few weeks.
Okay. I'd like to hear from my fellow board members, but I think that to the extent possible, whenever we go out, it should be, if it's not, I prefer it to be a board member. If it can't be a board member, it'd be one Democrat, one Republican. So that's how we roll here. And I was just wondering what everyone's thoughts on that were.
I think it sounds like a great idea. There's a lot of civic groups though that meet a lot of different days, so we would have to kind of pull the,
Well, I think there's
What?
6 of us. 2,
Yeah.
4, and yeah, so I think between the 6 of us, we could probably do it. But I really think that has been a lot of calling into question the security of voting. And I think it's incumbent upon us to tell people that we do it right here in Ohio and explain how it's done, so all of this stuff going on, we can just engender trust in the voting system again. So,
Is there a particular group you want to start with?
I mean, in Mahoning County, you have the Kiwanis, you have the Rotary, you have women's clubs, you have men's clubs. I mean, I bet if we just,
So I have a list started for you, and I have a letter that I can send to each of you, you can approve it, and then once you approve it, then we can start.
yeah, I
That
think
sound
it would be good. So, this has a lot on it. I'm wondering, should we get these blown up by Kinko's?
Joyce?
I actually can make posters on the one computer. or
She was
printer.
willing to do it today.
I was
but we
gonna do
wanted
it
to wait.
today, but we didn't know which one you liked.
This just seems so busy to me.
Yeah.
That does seem
I'm
busy
just
to me.
like, whoa.
Well, that's
I
why
don't
there's
like
a
any.
couple different mock-ups, and
I
you
like
can
this
choose,
best.
and we can edit
I don't
them.
like this one at all.
This and this is
I don't
one
like
and the
this one.
These
same.
are the same information, and the first one is for children.
Which,
So,
which one's for children?
this one is more for children.
Well, I hate to sound like an idiot, but this seems the easiest one to follow, right?
It does, but really, and you could change it for like, if you have a civic-minded group that's a little more educated about the process, you bring them the more high-tech one. If you need it simplified, we have these all in the computer and we can change them as needed, as long as the information maintains its integrity, right? So we can do
This,
that.
this seems awfully busy.
The information on this one is good though, I think.
But they can be reconfigured, that's why we didn't blow them up yet, we figured you can give us your critique, and then we'll fix them how you like them.
Well, I'm gonna take a look at these.
The one with the children, if you're gonna put this in, I mean, you're looking at grade school, but if you're gonna put this in high schools, we should be allowed to say that they voted 17, they're allowed to register at 17.
Yeah.
As long as they're 18 by November. So there's some things, yeah, I think we should look them over.
How about if I scan them to you each, and we designate them 1, 2, and 3, and you can send back your feedback,
Right.
and then we'll address them.
So if I could just go over this, let's go over
First
this
one.
very first one. I like the register to vote and the 18. What the big thing, for me at least, is that the USB drives and the counting of them by the machines is not in any way connected to the internet. And that's, I think, most importantly, what we need to tell the public, because that's what I think that they're most scared of. Now, so I would like to do that in an easy thing. Here's how your votes are secure. You register to vote, that goes on the internet. That anyone can do, but maybe we get some stuff about Chris, about our firewalls and our protection of that voter list. And then that's really the only thing of ours, outside of like our web page or our Facebook page, that's on the internet. But your actual ballot never goes onto the internet. When it's counted at the site, that's not connected to the internet. And then I'd like to explain that when we run the ballot, and when we count on election night, that's an unofficial tally. And it doesn't become official until they then rerun all of the paper ballots vis-a-vis the USB sticks. And then even on top of that, we have an audit, which then audits the running of the paper ballots, which confirms the USB sticks, and none of that is in any way tied to the internet. And that the ballots are kept in a secured safe at the Board of Elections, and no one can go in and touch those ballots. And I want to stress to people that we count the ballots, but we don't tabulate them until the polls close. And that seems to be a much better system than many other states that don't even process their absentees until the election day closes. And I think that just causes a lot of skepticism of people. And so I really want to talk, I mean, I like this, but I want to talk more about how secure voting is and how private it is and how the USB sticks are not the end all, that actually there's really 2 checks after election night. Because, you know, the last thing I ever want to do again is spend 2 hours in the FBI office trying to explain to them how I didn't fix the Struthers mayor's race, which was not a pleasant experience. But it told me that they didn't even understand how the process worked, because I could tell by the questions they were asking me, they don't understand. The general public does not understand how complicated this process is and how secure this process is. And that's what I would like to get out the most, is that it's almost, I can't say anything's impossible. I mean, I suppose if we had 10 people that agreed to conspire somehow, that could maybe do it, but, you know, the paper ballot is gonna catch you, that paper ballot is gonna catch you. And no, we don't know whose ballot that is, unless I've seen people sign their ballots. I don't know why people sign ballots. Sometimes when we're, you know, doing they'll write their name on the ballot. So
Maybe we could video some of the training.
The training is on video,
Huh?
all the training.
Is it, but then piece it with a video when we do a primary, like the steps that we do, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I
when
would,
the trucks come in and everything
Well,
is,
you know, my problem, I think, is mostly with the press. And I wish that we could allow the press to come in for one full day and go with someone to every location, see how people vote, see how they come back, see what we do at night. They only come for the results. They have no idea of how the process works, and they report on it. So if we had asked a reporter, or all of them to come, if they want to follow us through the whole process, on election day, come and go through the process. Come to early vote and see how it
well,
goes.
see, part of this is on us.
Right.
If we don't tell the public how the process works, we can't be critical of them when they're critical of us, because you know, I'm not saying they're ignorant in a pejorative sense, but they're ignorant not knowing how the system works.
Right.
And that's why I think if we go out to these groups, and what my fellow board member here is saying is a video a better presentation than
Right.
maybe a something like this? I think.
I think,
Melissa, aren't you working on that with Eileen?
I am. I'm meeting with Eileen tomorrow, and I actually think we were doing both. I think we're gonna do flow charts, we're gonna do outreach, we're gonna do social media, we're gonna do video clips.
Yeah.
Those 30-second video clips of this is how the information gets back to the Board of Elections. And the information about the USB
is on here.
and the gap drive is on here.
What are those called?
Oh, I know what you mean.
And then why can't we give those 30
We could,
Yeah.
we could.
Okay.
Could we do a, what does anyone think of the, since security of vote is top on the list, what do you think about doing a short condensed version of the public service announcement?
That's
what
what
I
it
was,
is.
that's what I was,
That's what we were
PSA.
trying to
Yeah.
PSA, that's what I was trying to think of that
Liz
word.
was asking me,
What
I'm
is
trying
that
to think of
word?
it, and
Bob came
just
up.
blurts it out there.
Well,
Good job.
We can review that tomorrow with Eileen, if you guys
Yeah.
are interested, we can get that started.
Right. I mean, I'd almost, it has to be something for a fourth grader. I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. I mean that because I've been here now 10 years, and it took me a good year just being here to sort of understand how it works. So we can't expect people in a 15 to 20 minute presentation. I don't want to bog them down with too much. I just want to explain to them how it works, that the legislature passes the laws that sort of regulates how elections are run. The Secretary of State is the executive branch that enforces the laws that the legislature passed. And then to just go through the step of how you register, from registering to vote, to voting, and then to how we count the vote. And I think that it could be as simple as that. And, I like this. We could talk about this. I would just, if if I had my druthers, I would just like to see these, you know, maybe register to vote, security of votes, voting, counting the votes and tabulating the results. I think those are good topics. I don't think we have to give them, you know, we can give them just a couple of things underneath. But honestly, this is the one I like the best. And I know you made it for children, but to me, it's the easiest one to understand.
It is, I think it's a good start.
Yeah.
Well, you only hold people's attention for what, 30 seconds?
Well, I mean,
And really, it's the repetitive truth that makes people really start to understand
Yeah.
about.
I mean, they all just got sued on a class action lawsuit. I don't know if you saw that, but all the voting companies got sued.
All of them?
Yeah,
Oh,
class
I haven't
action
been.
lawsuit by the My Pillow guy. So I guess we gotta go back to chalkboards and hard machines.
Rack balls.
So I should work on a public service with Eileen and also
Yeah.
work on making this bigger and a little more simplified.
You know, if she did this on ledger paper, you could space it out a little better, but it's good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
And I think we should put the Secretary of State's name on this, you know.
I think we should put the board members' name
Yeah,
on
and
this,
the
and the
board names
director
on
and
it
deputy
too,
director.
yeah.
Okay.
All of our
The
names should be on
Secretary
it.
of State.
You know, you're.
He's got his own PR.
Well, I mean, but people gotta understand that he ultimately is the Board of Elections. I mean, he appoints us to do it, but he could remove us for cause.
Right.
And he has removed Board of Election members for cause.
Do we
I
need
mean,
his-
that's what keeps us honest,
Right.
is we can't just go rogue, because he could come in and just say, you're all fired.
Right.
And so people need to know that you can't have a rogue board doing what they want to do and not following the law. That's just not allowed. So I think I really want to start getting out into the public as fast as we can. And I think I think we just do a couple and see how it goes, and then we can always make adjustments. But if I had my druthers, I'd druther that you blow this one up onto that big board, and that, we start sending it out and go from there. I'd like it,
Put the board members on.
and the Secretary of State.
Do we need to get permission? Do we need to send it to them?
No, we're just
Okay.
saying he's the Secretary of State. Frank LaRose, Secretary of
I'd
State.
like to see our logo on here too,
Yeah.
our Mahoning County logo.
Yeah,
Okay. Got it.
but I like this. We'll have to get rid of the dog with our future depends on young Americans like you, because I could see going to one of these assisted care living facilities and saying, young Americans like you are our future.
Our future depends on voters like you.
Yeah, you can put
Yeah.
your voice needs to be heard,
Something,
or you live in a democracy, let your voice be heard, something like that.
I think take the kids away too.
Yeah, take the kids away. Put a picture of Joyce and Tom fighting over a
Now,
ballot.
you
or
and me,
something.
David, fighting over just anything.
I would lose, and then I'd get corrected.
That's right.
Okay, but this is a great start, thank you.
Thank you
It
very
is a
much.
great start.
I don't have anything else other than, I just want to report to the board that I called, is it, I'm having a senior moment now. Lynette from the prosecutor's office and
Right.
Ray, that's it. I'm sorry. I called Ray last night because I'm very confused about what the hell's going on. And so Ray explained it to me, Melissa explained it to me, and when we come to the director's report, we'll have you, what's going on, but we're gonna have a primary, and then, I think, unless the Supreme Court throws out the maps again, and then it all is gonna get thrown up into the air. So I don't know what's gonna happen. As of right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you filed, but then they changed the districts on you, you have until March 11th, is it? To change your
10th.
10th? Thursday. So you have until Thursday, but you had to have filed before. We cannot take any new filings,
No.
correct?
No,
But if you did file, like, take for instance, State Representative Catrona. where he filed at, they actually took him out of his district. So he can come in and move into the district that he wants to run in,
Do you
correct?
want to see the form that they must fill out before?
I'm just trying to just generally just say what they have to do to, so people know.
There
And so
is a-
we understand too,
There
the
is
board.
an addendum to their declaration. It's Form 2ZA. And it states, I currently am running in the district I live in, or I'm moving into another district.
Okay,
That's how it reads.
so because I know that, is it the 58th and 59th, they have
Yes.
jarbled that thing up
Yeah, I know.
like crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, they have Youngstown in with Smith Township and,
Columbiana.
it's just,
We're like, yeah, I don't know.
and I don't know if that's gonna hold or not.
No.
We don't know, so we're hoping we only have to have one primary, because if we have to have another primary, it's gonna run us a lot of money.
Can I ask a question? I thought I read somewhere that if they throw it out again, it reverts to the last 2 years. The districts refer to the last 2 years, and then they'll have another redistricting in 2024. I thought I read that. Is that correct? Do you know?
I don't know.
Secretary of State, do you know?
I believe if
I
they
didn't
have
see
to
that. Did you?
correct it, it will stand for 4 years.
Is it 4 years? I knew I
And
read
then
somewhere
it
that
has
if
to
they,
be
if the
redone.
Supreme Court, they cannot agree, it will go,
Yeah.
stay where it is now.
No, that, if the Supreme Court could throw the maps out,
Right.
okay? And then they could say, come up with another map, and if they do that, they're gonna have to postpone the primary for the state reps and congressional candidates and state senators. That's what I
No one
think.
wants two primaries.
Well, no, I don't think we'll get any turnout on the second primary.
Well,
We
it's so
barely get it.
costly too, you'd have to,
Yeah. Okay, that basically ends my report. Director, do we have anything?
We do. Under A, we need to authorize Melissa and myself to hire the necessary help and staff for the May 3rd, 2022 primary.
So I have a question about that. How do we go about finding those people? We have just a steady batch of people that come in?
We have our regulars, that some have been here 20 years, and then we go 10, 5 years, and we use them. And then when we do need additional help, we look to both parties for recommendations to help us out, because we need that R&D in every
Right.
aspect of what we do. And then sometimes we rely on our full-time and part-time employees to recommend people as well.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to hire poll workers and to hire the necessary staff as the director and assistant director deemed necessary, that we may have a smooth running May primary. Is there a motion?
motion.
There's a motion by Joyce Kalpesta to entrust in the director and the assistant director the power to hire the help that they think is needed to run the May 3rd primary. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Sandra Barger. Can we have a vote?
Ms. Pesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Orange?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys, we are going to trust that you will spend the taxpayers' money wisely and hire the staff that you need. I don't want to put any pressure on the two of you, but I get a lot of pressure because this is the first, go around as Tom is director and you as an assistant. I mean, Tom's been the director before, but he's not been the director for a while, and he doesn't have Joyce here.
No, we stopped Joyce.
So I want this to go as smoothly as possible. So you guys are on, and I have complete confidence in you guys. And if you mess up, we're to the guillotine for you guys. All right.
Yeah, under B, we need to approve the scheduled classes of instructions for the precinct election officials for the May 3rd, 22 primary, and those are in front of you in your package too.
And these would be tentative to what happens in the next couple of
Correct,
days.
everything we're doing, even today is tentative what we're doing for May 3rd.
I do have a question. What does this mean, paid jobs attending? So if they attend a training for something they're gonna do, they get paid?
They get an initial $25, and most counties have adopted that.
Okay. And you got BCs, and then on other pages you have,
That's the job that they do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Bs
that's
and
their
Ms
job
and-
category.
Okay,
So there's ballot judge,
all right, yeah.
machine judge.
All these codes of like
Yeah.
military.
What is an L and a V, just for my edification?
Location manager,
Okay, and V?
voting,
It's the lead manager,
Yeah.
and then there's a secondary.
yeah, voting location manager.
And so they get paid more because they have to train longer?
And they're responsible for bringing the supplies and picking them up and taking them back.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is the money they just to come for the training?
Yeah, it's 2-hour training now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the scheduled classes of instruction. for
There
the
is
May
a
plan.
motion made by Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Bob Arnott. Is there, could the director call the roll, please?
Ms. Festa,
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice,
Yes.
Ms. Barger,
Yes.
Mr. Raj.
Yes.
And then one other thing, talk about redistricting, as we've been getting the new maps and the lines, Chris has been on top of it. Everything has been changed, voters been put into the new districts already, so we've been preparing all along like it's gonna be May 3rd. We believe it is gonna be May 3rd, so we haven't stopped under, assuming it is gonna be May 3rd at this point. So we are ready to go when it comes to redistricting.
May I inquire something on that?
Yes.
So, Chris, you coded in the computer so the computer knows what ballots to spit out, right?
Yeah, we changed the precinct associations for the different districts, and that sounds like vote to the correct district.
And
And also-
how do we, is there a check to make sure, I'm not saying you're not perfect,
Right.
but is there a check to make sure that how you're coding it in is correct?
Yeah, we check those against the maps that come in, and also get the legal descriptions, and we'll check those against that as well.
So, but there's no one beyond you that does that. So you put it in, my understanding is you put it in the computer according to that, but you're still capable of human error, correct?
Correct.
All right, so is there someone else that is gonna check it over, or is it
Yeah,
just?
just double check it a few times before we send anything out.
Okay. See, this is what I mean about having just one person doing this, because God forbid something should happen to Chris, and you look great. But God forbid something should happen to him, I don't know if we have someone backup that could do what he's doing.
The only way we could do it is with the SNS coming in, and that would be very expensive.
Well, let's examine that a second. Do we want, if we know this is the final thing, do we want ES&S to come in just to help Chris, just in case? Just because there's been so many changes? I mean, I'm just inquiring. Because I'm gonna tell you something right now, if we mess it up, we're gonna have, you know what rolls downhill, it's gonna land right on the four of us. And so the question is,
On the two of us.
well, no, I mean, they're gonna basically say, how did the board miss this? Why did this happen? Blah, blah, blah. I can see the stories. And then, more distrust in the voting. And so, is it worth bringing ES&S in just to maybe, I don't know, I'm asking, I'm inquiring. Joyce, what are your thoughts? I mean, because,
My thoughts are I'd rather have a permanent employee as a backup to Chris, who they can work off each other, instead of bringing someone in like ES&S who is doing the whole state and might also screw up and not have it right. If you have someone on staff who can work with him and back him up, or be, let's say he gets sick. Then where are we? We
yeah,
have,
but the redistricting only happens once every 10 years.
but elections happen twice a year.
Okay, but where you live, like I'll just use the Catrona race for an example. He was in the district he was running in, and then they moved the line, and now he has to move into the district that he wants to run into. And so what I'm saying is, because, property descriptions and everything else, and keying it into the computer, do we just want to have ES&S come in, just to go over what Chris did, just to make sure we've crossed all our Ts and dotted all our Is?
Two things, would it be ES&S or Triad that has to come in on that?
Well, I changed both systems.
Yeah. We're
And I don't know
fortunate,
if you even know our county, people have lots of things, those are our counties, more familiar with our
our maps,
Our
and our
maps,
new
yeah.
changes.
And I think we're fortunate in Mahoney County that in the congressional,
Go ahead.
I think we're fortunate in Mahoney County because the congressional map, all Mahoney counties now comes by one district. So there really is no changes except for all Mahoney County to be the 6th district. So that's an easy one. There's really nothing to change.
But on those,
And we're
that
fortunate.
Senate maps changed 3 times now?
Yeah, the Senate and House, though, we're fortunate that they didn't cut any townships or cities or villages in half, so they kept us all the political subdivisions as a whole. Is that correct,
Yes,
Chris?
that's correct.
So no township is split, no city is split,
No.
So that made our
so it
job-
does make it easier.
It does make it a lot easier. We know all Borden's now going to 58, all of Boston's going to 58. So we have to make sure those voters in those townships are just placed right. Where some counties, they've split townships, they have split villages, they've split cities. We don't have that. So we kind of got lucky there that.
All right, I just wanna just raise the alarm bells, because if we're gonna have a hiccup, this would be the time to have a hiccup, because this is something we don't regularly do. We only do it once every 10 years. And
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying is if we're confident, then I'm confident, but, you know, do we wanna have belts and suspenders? It's just, I'm just throwing that out there for discussion. I'd like to know what the fellow board members think of that.
Well, I think we've talked about it a couple of times, and I think there's some thought happening with the current employees that we have, some of the part-times. And I think that they've had some discussion with Melissa and Tom on making some changes and getting him a backup.
I think the backup is a separate inquiry, and I agree with Joyce on that, as opposed to making sure that what Chris did is 100% correct. And I'm not saying this in any way as disparagement about Chris. I'm just saying we have redundancies in our system to check everything. And we don't have redundancy in this. That's all I'm saying. And we only do this once every 10 years. So there's no redundancy in what Chris is doing. There's redundancy in voting, there's redundancy in taking the ballots out, bringing the ballots in, checking them out. We have redundancy. And the reason you have redundancy is so you don't have any mistakes. And all I'm saying is, we have no redundancy in this.
Well, we do have a little, because when Dan and myself approve the ballots the second time, we have to go through every ballot style. And we're gonna be checking the 58th and 59th against Boardman, Austintown, Sebring, and those areas. So the proofing of the ballots, we do have some backup for Chris on that we're double checking at
All
the
right.
same time.
And you feel that redundancy would help?
I do, I know it helps, and Chris.
And Chris, you felt it would have to be someone local that knows our area anyway, so is there something that you think would be helpful to you? Plus what Tom and Danny,
You could have a few of the other staff members double check their districts.
like a third look?
Yeah, third block.
All right.
Joyce said something about GIS. What is that?
GIS is downtown, and they do know the area, but they don't know the coding. Like with Triad and with the SNS, you'd almost have to have both vendors involved in checking them over, but, I mean, he's done redistricting 3 times now, this is your 3rd time?
Third time, yeah.
So, we've never had a problem with what he does, so, I'm confident.
Yeah, but usually he's had a lot more time to work on it
Well,
than
that's true.
what they've done to him
Yeah,
recently.
yeah, exactly, that's
my,
true.
my fear is that they've changed it so many damn times. I don't know how many times, you've probably done it yourself, changed it a couple times, right?
Yeah, I've only changed it once, we only directed to the last time, that's when I changed.
From this last map?
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
And that could change again.
and that could change again, and that's all I'm saying is, well, all right, if the board's comfortable with just Chris and then,
You know what I think? I think, Chris, if you're uncomfortable, if there's a change and you're uncomfortable, then just tell the director. And then we can make a decision on, whether we want to, bring other people in like Triad and ES&S. I think it's up to you to tell us where you are. If you're overwhelmed, just tell
I
Tom.
mean, that was a fairly simple change to make in the vote systems, and it's similar to other changes I've made throughout the years, as far as districts and precincts goes,
You had it done fairly quickly.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay.
you said a 3-time check, and then if you're uncomfortable or we're worried, we should revisit the topic.
Right,
And then the backup, we should revisit it as date later.
yeah.
well, I think we should, I agree with my fellow board member, Sandra, that we should probably, we've been talking about doing that for a while, we should probably, and that was one of the things that impressed me when I interviewed Melissa, was that she wanted to do more cross-training of the employees, so that should someone go down, there's another employee that could step in.
So we're always operationally sound.
Yeah. So I'd like to see some kind of a plan for that at the next board meeting if possible, like who you think that should cross-train with whom else. And,
Okay.
I mean, they don't have to know it as well as that person, but have some working knowledge of it. I mean, God forbid, something should happen to Diane Rapacy. I don't think anyone knows how to do that, which she does. Does anyone else know how to do that, Joyce?
I think,
Yeah,
Ann-
that's
no,
not.
no, I know Ann could do it, and I know that Jenny helped her too, so I mean, I know that people could, pick it up.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of everything. I mean,
We can give you a proposal, we have a cross-training plan.
all I want is redundancy. The reason you have redundancy is so you always expect and have a plan for the unexpected, hoping the unexpected never happens. All right. Anything else under your
I
report?
do not.
Unfinished business. A, electricity update. Who wants-
The electric's finally in. They finished it early last week. And so we're ready to go. So the training for the new equipment that we need the electric for will take place this Friday. But how many, 4 or 5 of us in the training?
Right.
And so we'll get the training, and the goal is to do at least the provisionals this time and get that equipment up and running and start, printing our own ballots at that level. So we're on track there.
Okay.
Under C, I think we did that already. And then under D, a little update, with OPEX, that's the ballot opening machine, the ejector.
Yeah, is that the one we looked at the conference?
It is. And
But
they-
there was something wrong with it, someone told me?
They don't have a timestamp on that.
Oh, yeah.
We have a piece of equipment that can timestamp it. But the big issue is that they're not state pricing, and we're gonna have to probably get 3 quotes on that, which is, we didn't expect to have until November anyhow. So Melissa and myself, we're gonna draft a bid and specs, and then we'll send that out to Pitney Bowes and other companies to see if they can do something like OPEX does.
So OPEX does everything but timestamp it, right? There's not another Secretary of State approved vendor out there that does everything OPEX does and timestamp it?
We don't think so, but because it's not state pricing and the cost of equipment, the county's gonna have to at least have to go out for bid on this.
Okay.
But we can have that done
Does,
over the summer and have it ready for November.
Right.
all
Can I
right.
ask a question? Did you look online to see whether there's another company in the United States that does that?
Actually, I have not.
I looked a little bit,
Okay,
because they're not like an election equipment, there's something for businesses.
Right.
And so, and then there were some suggestions for bids, and we're working with the prosecutor's office on this.
And then on the ES&S, we did get another proposal. There's not much room to negotiate on that, but downtown and Audrey has approved the purchase of the 950. So when we're ready with the contract, we can bring it back to the board. If they so choose to do, we can get moving, and it is funded.
Yeah, and she even, suggested that if you wanted to pass today so that we could get the approval, if you were interested in approving the contract today.
Do we have a contract in
It's in your
place?
packet.
Don't we have to have the prosecutors read it first?
It's a state, so they already vet it. When it's a state piece of equipment, they already vet it and they do the contracting for the state, although we did have.
We,
to look
we
at
can
it.
approve it, subject to the prosecutor's review.
But we did have the prosecutors look at it, just in case anyway.
Well, there's a lot of boilerplate there, is all I'm
Yeah.
saying. And I know enough about contract law to be dangerous, but that's about it. But I would have no problem passing it, subject to the prosecutor's office giving it their, I don't care if it's a state contract or anything. The prosecutor is our attorney, and we're not moving unless our attorney gives it a stamp of approval. Because ultimately, we're responsible to the people of Mahoning County. They have elected a prosecutor. who is to advise us, and that's how it's gonna work. So I would take a motion that we approve this, subject to the prosecuting attorney's office giving it a thumbs up.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Do you have any discussions? I just wanna say, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna provide for the purchase of the ES&S, is it the 950, am I saying that right?
950, yes, sir.
Okay, and just quickly, for the edification of everyone here and for the people that might be watching online later, what's the difference between that counting machine and what we currently have?
Sure, currently we have the 850, we've had those for 5 to 6 years already. This is the latest version of the 950. One of the issues we had with the old 850s, and it was a game changer for us from the old 650s, there's a problem with the jamming of the ballots on the output feed, and this corrects that. And then with the 950s also comes the new software for tabulation.
And it's faster too, right?
And it's faster and it's just a lot more reliable. It's gonna fix 90% of our jams. Not that we had a lot, but the ones we had, this fixed that.
Just
so
the
long-
machine doesn't stop, right? With the jams on the 850, it stops, right?
Stops, this one
Now it
doesn't
just
keep
keeps
going.
going. So it's so much faster.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great
Because
addition.
there's nothing more pleasant than on election night with my phone blowing up from reporters. When are the results gonna be posted? And I said, when we're done counting. We don't, I'm sorry you have a deadline, we don't. We wanna get it right. But I'm
For
assuming,
those who don't know, he does hold his phone that day. He carries it everywhere.
Knows it holds his
And
phone
didn't blow
every
it
day.
up.
it is blowing up. Why haven't you got, Trumbull County posted theirs, well, good for Trumbull County. Okay, because the one time we messed it up, boy, we all, Joyce was here, Tom was here, I mean, we cut a lot of you-know-what, and we're not doing that anymore. All right, so, Director, call the roll?
Ms. Pesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Aronch?
Yes.
Okay, under new business, we have decertify /
Recertify.
recertify petitions.
Um,
That's jarbled.
It is, but a lot of things about May 3rd are charging right now. But in front of you, there's a list of candidates. The first sheet has your 6 district candidates for Congress that we could not certify last time because the deadline hadn't come yet for filing. And then because of the changed lines for the state senate, state rep, and central committee, Republican, Democrat State Central Committee, we have to decertify those because we certified them last time and then recertify them back this time.
Wait a minute.
And that was my directive.
All right, so the easiest thing to do is, let's just do the 6 districts, right? Because we've not certified those at all, right?
We have not.
Okay. So, we have a list here of people running for the 6th district. I mean, that's a crowded field even on both the Democrat and Republican side. There's, as I'm looking at it.
5 Democrats and 4 Republicans.
Wow, I don't think we've ever had that much in a congressional race that I can recall, 9 candidates between the two
Right,
parties.
yeah. We did check all the petitions. We have one set of petitions from Michael Kripchak, running as a Democrat. We only found 41 valid signatures. And the issue is, this petition form, I'll pass this down. Mahoning County voters and Columbiana County voters are on the same page. And a petition can only contain valid signatures from one county. If you're gonna have 2 counties or multiple counties, they have to be on separate partition pages.
Is that a fatal flaw?
And that's a
Yeah,
fatal
fatal
flaw.
flaw.
So it ended up with 41 good signatures because we can't count the Columbiana signatures on the same part petition. And I included from the Secretary of State's office, 1 county per part petition form there.
So he's not gonna be certified then?
Cannot be certified for lack of signatures. And I don't know if Michael's here or not.
Yes.
You're okay, I'll assume by what you said.
On right here.
I hate not letting people run. God, I hate that. says it right here. Did he submit one petition and just didn't have a,
I think it's two-part petitions.
Yes.
Two-part petitions. And the counties are commingled.
I see that here. Where is that?
So the 41 good ones are from which county?
Mahoning, because on both part petitions, the majority of the signers were from Mahoning.
Okay,
If they were from Columbiana, we would have sent that petition
Down.
form to Columbiana,
Okay.
then check and then sent back to us.
Because they only had one petition.
Correct. The petitions go to the county with the most signatures on it, and both those part petitions had mostly Mahoning County on it. So those were not, they don't get sent to Columbiana.
But if he had a separate petition for Columbiana, we would send those to
We
Columbiana.
sent those to Columbiana for them to check and send back to us.
But because they're all on one petition, we can't send that petition to Columbiana.
Correct.
They did change the 6th congressional district though, right?
Correct.
Restore the Populous County.
I'm counting 40, not that it matters because he needs 50, right?
Correct.
I'm counting 46 Mahoning counties, but I guess some of the Mahoning counties weren't good signatures.
Not registered, not registered at that address. So there's other, but you're correct, even if every Mahoning County signature is counted,
He's still short.
it would still be a little bit short.
I just hate, I hate it. I just, So other than that one, everyone else's is good?
For Congress, yes, sir.
Do we want to take them individually or as a group, or how do we want to do them?
Take it as a group.
But don't you have him down here on this one?
We had to until the board ruled on it.
So we gotta take him separately? Because if we take it as a group, he's in that group, we have
Correct,
to.
we'd have to disqualify first and then,
All right, so is there a motion to disqualify Michael Kirkchak's petitions?
I'd hate to say, but I have to because of the majority of the signatures are from the board's county. It may proceed to process, review, and verify all signatures on the part petition. The board must validate any signatures from, the board must invalidate any signatures, and we only have 41 qualified signatures.
Is there a second? Is there a second to Sandra's motion?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Well, I just wanna say this. Philosophically, it is abhorrent to me that we make it not as easy as possible to run for office. That the more people that run, I think the better it is for our community. Philosophically, that's how I feel. But I'm also obligated by my oath to follow the law, and if that's what the law is, then even though it rubs me the wrong way, I have to follow the law. So, do we have any more discussion? Would the director call the roll?
Ms. Pesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
A reluctant yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Arad?
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll take the remaining candidates as a whole, that being Martin Alexander is a Democrat, Eric Jones is a Democrat, Lou Liris is a Democrat, and Shauna Robbins is a Democrat. John Anderson is a Republican, Bill Johnson is a Republican, Michael Morgenstein is a Republican, and Gregory is a Zelenitz. Did I say that? I'll entertain a motion to certify those people for their ballot, to run for the 6th district.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Would the director call the roll?
Ms. Pesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Arad?
Yeah.
All right, now, we turn the page. Now, do we have to decertify these and then recertify them?
Yeah, the directive says 2022, 27, says we decertify since they're certified already, which we've never done before. This is unprecedented, so I'm not sure what the motion even is. So we decertify these candidates as a whole, then we go back and recertify them.
Okay,
So I make a
So we have to
motion,
undo what we did last month.
Correct.
In order to correct this.
so I'll make a motion to decertify the candidates that we certified at our last board meeting. That's basically it. That's basically it.
and so we're gonna take them as a whole. State senator for the 33rd district, state representative for the 59th district, state representative for the 58th district. I have a question on that one. State central committeeman for the 33rd district. Why is there one labeled write-in?
Jeffrey Green filed as a write-in to run in the old 58th, and now he's in the, he filed to write-in as, boy, I'm getting confused there. He filed to run against the Democrat in the old 58th. When they redistrict, he's now write-in in
You mean in the
new
59th?
He was in the 58th.
Oh, he always wasn't?
He was always in the 58th. He's still in the 58th, but he's with Katrona now. So he filed as a write-in to run against the Democrat winner in your primary, the Democrat primary.
But it says Republican there.
Correct.
I'm confused. Because I have a candidate, we have a candidate, Democratic candidate, so he's in,
So Jeff's running in the primary against Alcatrona at this point. Most likely Jeff will withdraw,
okay,
but under the old districts, he would have ran against the winner, Lauren McNally, Penny.
59.
the-
Yeah, the 15, the new
Right.
59,
the new
I see.
59, Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Because no one filed to run as a Republican in that district.
right.
So,
He filed to run as a write-in, so the Democrat would have an opponent.
correct.
But since they switched the lines,
Well, she's a lucky girl.
Well, so the winner of the 59th district in the Democrat primary will be the state representative, unless someone files as an independent.
so there is no Republican running in the 59th district.
Not anymore, no.
Okay. All right, so I'll take a motion to decertify.
I made that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Because I'm barely understanding what we're doing. Is there any-
Moving the lines, so
Is-
I gotta stop moving the lines.
Is there any discussion with the director call the roll?
Ms. Pesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice? Ms.
Yes.
Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Arad?
Yes.
Okay, now,
Now we have to certify.
okay,
Oh, no, we got it.
except for, we have to certify that except for the one we had last time, C. Ashley Pike, who's running, wants to run for member of the State Central Committee as a Republican.
I thought that,
We disqualified, but we just undid what we just did last time, so.
So we have to do it again.
We have to disqualify him a second time. And this was because he did not have his whole,
absolutely.
and every county's doing this, so we're not alone in this.
All right, so,
But the same problem as last time, he didn't fill out the whole front of the park petition, which is a fatal error. It's this section right here, if the board wants to remember.
Yep.
And in the meantime, we did get an opinion that it is fatal.
Okay. So we just have to reaffirm the motion we made the last time.
Yeah, to disqualify Ashley Pike, C. Ashley Pike.
and that's because,
He didn't have the whole face of the petition filled out.
right. All right, so is there a motion to disqualify C. Ashley Pike's petition? And Rick Barron, is he, we didn't have him last time.
And we did have
Yeah,
it
we
last
had-
time.
We did?
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion to disqualify C. Ashley Pike's petitions?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Is a motion made and seconded, would the director, is there any discussion? Would the director call the roll?
Ms. Pesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
No.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Arant?
Yes.
It's gonna pass, I just have to, I'm tired of throwing people off the ballot, I hate it.
And that's it for your certification. And then under new business, I think Melissa wanted to talk about,
Don't we have to certify these?
I thought we did already, didn't we?
No,
No.
well, that was for
Oh, that's
Pike.
right.
That was Pike, now we have to.
Now we have to have a motion to certify the remaining candidates, and that would be, let's just put it so it's in the minutes. State Senate, it'd be Robert F. Hagan for the 33rd District as the Democrat, Michael Anthony Rulli as the Republican. For the State Representative 59th District, Lauren McNally, the Democrat, Wayne Penny Jr. is a Democrat, Ronald Shad is a Democrat, and John R. Dice is a Democrat. And for the 58th District, we have Jeffrey Green as a Republican write-in, Al Catrona, and William Bruce Neff. For the State Central Committee, 33rd District, we have Joyce Kale Pesta as, so the public knows, the State Central Committee men are the official representatives of each party who actually vote for the state party chairman and help run the party's business for the state organization. So there's always one woman and one man in each of these senatorial districts. So we have Joyce Kale Pesta as the woman in the 33rd District and Mike Ray as the man for the State Central 33rd District. Those are the Democrats. And for the Republicans, we have Monica Robb Blaisdell as the woman and Dave Johnson and Rick Barron as the men. So I take a motion to certify all of those.
I'll make the motion to certify those.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? Would the director call the roll?
Ms. Pesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Arant?
Yes.
Phew. All right. We have a lot of acronyms here now. Now we're gonna have a COLA. Who wants to describe the Mahoney County Board of Elections COLA policy?
So this is a policy that we would like to have to ensure that our full-time Board of Elections staff members receive annual compensation for their job classification and duties commensurate with inflation. The Mahoney County Board of Elections longevity is not in effect until a full-time staff member reaches their 10th year, and it's 5 cents a year. So we felt that we should be doing something for them on an annual basis to ensure that we're not demoting them. When inflation and the cost of health insurance rises and their pay doesn't rise, we essentially pay them less for the same job. So the way we would do this is that we would use the federal government's cost of living adjustment We would cap ours at 3% at the highest and 1% at the lowest. And within this policy here explains how we would determine that each year. We would base it off of the federal government. If theirs was 2.9, that year we would be 2.9. This year it's 5.9, so we would be doing 3%. If they went to 0, which in the last 20 years they did twice, we would do 1% because we would never do 0, that's offensive. And this would only be for the full-time staff members, and it would be annually, and it would increase every January for them.
Would our fiscal officer keep track of the COLA each January?
Actually, our HR person is going to do that, and she already has a calendar set up so that she would be looking at that every year. They announce it between October and December, so it would always go into effect in January, and we would know our number every year.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the COLA for the Mahoning County Board of Elections employees?
I make the motion.
Joyce
sorry.
Kilpesta makes the motion, seconded by Sandra Barger. Is there any discussion? Would the director call the roll?
Ms. Pesta?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Orange?
All right.
I would like to thank Annie for the business cards. I think that was a very nice touch.
Wait. Hold on. Wait 1 second. I just handed something. Oh, yes. I thought we approved this to go out.
But it's here for you just to look at.
Okay.
And I know you don't look at your stuff.
Oh, thanks. I'm getting it. I'm getting it in stereo
Yeah, and then you're
today.
gonna need to sign some of this. Hey, I've been an assistant
Can I thank
a long
Annie now for
time.
the business cards?
Yes.
I would like to thank you, Annie, for the business cards you
Annie.
provided to the board.
That, very good. Can
Yeah.
I ask the director and assistant director to please look into e-cards? So what e-cards are, it is your cell phone, and you just tap someone else's cell phone, and your contacts go right into their cell phone. It's the latest thing, because when you have these, I know when I go to a conference, I get like a stack of them, and then I gotta put them into my phone. With the e-cards, it's so much easier. It is, once you get it, you just tap someone's phone, and your contact goes right into it. And so let's look into that. But thank you for this, I really love this.
You're welcome.
And there's a couple companies that do it, do e-cards, and so we can look into that. Why are you laughing?
Is it costly?
It's fun, it's great.
No, it's not, it's really not
No, I
that,
just wondered.
it's really not that costly.
Maybe think of those, the texting, the auto texting, remember, the SMS, a lot of technology we can look into in the future.
Yeah. So, this letter, Sandra reminded me, thank you, you reminded me of one thing, and now Sandra reminds me of, we did send
It's a woman.
I wouldn't have known that, but for you telling me that, Joyce, I appreciate that. Bob, you and I are going out and getting drinks, they're not coming with us.
You have a fun picture together.
Oh, I forgot. I'm just gonna read this memorandum. It says to Mahoning County office holders, department heads, and interested parties from the Mahoning County Board of Elections to protect the integrity of our elections, prevent voter fraud, and engender public trust in our democracy. Both the Ohio Revised Code and the procedures developed and implemented by the boards of elections across state mandate that members of the opposite political parties must always be present when ballots are handled or processed in any way. Because this system of partisan checks and balances is so integral and essential to our operations, we are extending it to all non-election related administrative and managerial functions performed by or involving the Mahoning County Board of Elections, including all interactions with other agencies, entities, and individuals. To that end, all communications and contact with the board, including written correspondence, emails, and phone calls, must be directed to both Director Tom McCabe and Deputy Director Melissa Wasco, and their contact information there. We are implementing this protocol to maintain the board's status as an independent, autonomous, and accountable governmental entity, and to honor our long-standing commitment to operate in the most transparent, effective, and efficient manner possible at all times. Thank you in advance, and should you have any questions, please direct them to Director Tom McCabe and Deputy Director Wasco. And I like that very much. I think that's an excellent, excellent letter. Okay, is there anything for the good of the order or public comments?
Can I just ask a couple questions?
Go ahead.
About the certification, does it explain explicitly exactly what has to be done? That there has to be separate petitions for each county? And how do you determine whether the signature is valid or not? Or if the person signed the petition, he must have thought that he was registered. Do you notify those people that they're not registered to vote?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. On a petition, we have a petition verification program, and automatically it sends out a letter to the person who is not registered to vote. Isn't that correct, Chris? Iris? Is that correct?
Okay.
As far as checking the signatures,
Yeah.
it is a human process. I defy anyone to think that my signature today looks like the signature I signed
Well, that's
when I voted when I was 18 years old, because it doesn't look anything like it.
Yeah.
But you do sign every time, so we have a batch of signatures. I mean, it's a human process and human eyes. There's no computer that analyzes how they stroke their eyes or their T's or anything else. It's just that a person physically takes the petition, physically looks at the registrar's book and their voting times they voted and their signatures and see if they're similar enough.
So then is that person notified that their signature is not approved?
Well, the times when we haven't approved the signature, it's to me been so flagrant that, yes, we have. Now, I don't like the process because we kick someone off the ballot because they printed their signature. The guy brought in affidavits that they printed their signatures, and we still kicked them off the ballot. And they're not even teaching children anymore how to write cursive. So I don't know what's going to happen. Everyone's going to be printing.
Excuse me, everyone, I have to leave. I have another commitment.
Okay.
I can't tell you what to do anymore.
Like
Sorry,
that's going to
everyone,
stop.
sorry.
So I hope that answered your question.
Okay, and then the petitions, do they know that it has to be one county on each petition?
It says it right on the face of the petition.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, with all the, maybe this is a silly question, but with all the line drawing and everything, will precincts change?
No, not this year.
No.
Precincts are something we do. That's not something that the state tells us to do.
Well, I was
So
just
one
wondering
time,
if
for
it's more-
instance, Mahoney County had 415 precincts, and now we're down to what,
212.
212. So that's something the board does, is our population shrank, we consolidated precincts.
Now, if there's still problem with the maps, is it possible that the primary date will be changed? Or can it be changed?
Well, we're hoping it doesn't, but that's, if the Supreme Court should strike it down, I don't know if they can get it in time, because we're gonna have to come and do all this certification research. At some point, we can't, because we have to start voting people. When do we start voting?
The first day with the UVCOM is next,
The 18th.
next Friday.
Yeah, so if they strike it down, I don't know how we don't have two primaries, because we have to send out our UVA ballots on the 18th of March. So we have other deadlines in the revised code that we have to meet. And if we can't meet them, they're gonna have to pass a special law or something and hold a special primary, would be my assumption. Anything else for the public good? Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that.
Guys, thank you for the discussion about my name on the ballot. I do appreciate that. And I guess, I don't know, maybe it is already idiot-proofed. Maybe there's a way to like double plus idiot-proof it. I don't know how I missed that, but I did. I guess I had some notes on the election integrity stuff. I know I didn't look at them, but it's not surprising that the one for kids was the one that caught your eye, just because the process has to be so darn complicated. But I guess, I think.
I wrote on mine, did you write on yours?
I didn't write on mine.
I wrote on mine.
There you go. Then you don't
Yeah,
have
I
to
wrote on
copy.
mine.
And I guess,
Go ahead.
okay,
Why don't you finish?
I guess the the biggest things that come to my mind on it are the KISS method, right? Keep it simple, stupid, because when it comes to 15 seconds of attention span, I mean, that's even an overestimate.
Yeah.
So I think these are probably good for when it comes to if there's someone there shepherding people through it. Beyond that, I mean, people are gonna look at this and be like, nope. And then I guess the idea could then be to have something super high level and then, hey, if you wanna know more, boom. Then we can hit you with the more details. And then the PSA, I think, is gonna be super smart because we only watch videos. And I guess I think probably the most important point is that people don't doubt the integrity of our elections because they actually, right, they haven't known for years how this actually works. And they never doubted it then. They don't doubt it for any kind of mind issue, they doubt it because of a heart issue. And so no matter how granular detail you get, it's not gonna make any difference if you can't hit them here.
Right. Well, I wanna just push back on that, but when I'm in a law enforcement office and they don't know how we operate, I blame myself. I mean, we could at least tell people how this works. Because not many people know how it works. They think it's tied to the internet, they think the computer counts the machines, they don't know that we have redundancy. And I think that once, it's on us to teach, to educate the public about it. And it's on us to make sure that people's voices are heard and that they have trust in the electoral process. A democracy dies when people don't participate in the democracy. You don't have a democracy if no one's voting. And if people don't trust the process, they're not gonna vote. And, you know, I think it's on us to, and I don't think Sandra and I could be any more opposed on our political views, but one thing we all agree on is we live in a democracy and people should vote.
Yep.
So that,
And there's been so much false messages out there of the way the machines work, that we need to change that.
yeah.
I think the shadowing idea, I don't know how much of that can legally be done because you can't show everybody everything. But I think the shadowing idea would be really smart.
Well, we do more than most boards. I mean, we tape these, we put them on the internet. I believe that the best way to keep everyone honest who's in an elected position is to have as much transparency as possible. When you start hiding things, people start distrusting the whole process. So I couldn't agree with you. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Can
All
I
right,
ask
yeah.
one more question? When I was in school, which is a long time ago, we were required to take a class on government and voting and how that all works. Is that no longer true?
We are teaming up with a company that goes into the grade schools and the high schools and does an education. We are by law required to go to 2 conferences a year, and they have vendors at this conference. One of the vendors does like a kiddie program. I don't know what else to say it. And where we team up with them and we actually go into the schools and teach the kids how it's done. And that's just free to the schools. And it's free to us.
It's not part of the curriculum anymore?
You'd almost have to go to each school board meeting and ask them, because it's a board of elections, and we don't have control over the curriculum of the schools.
And the last place I'd ever want to be right now is at a school board meeting. So
Yeah.
on that, I'll just leave that up to a school board. All right, is there anything else for the good of the order? Anything my other board members want to say? No?
You know what, I would like to acknowledge Annie Calucci and Danny O'Neill and Chris Rackesee. They worked very, very hard this week, and I just would like to acknowledge them.
Well, let's give them a round. Okay, with that, we have our next scheduled meeting is set for Tuesday, April 12th at 4 p.m. I like these 4 p.m.s. Does that work for everyone?
It's working okay.
I don't like getting up early in the morning. I think it's better for the
Public?
and getting more participation. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded by Sandra.
And I'll second it.
Director, call the roll.
Attorney Petras?
Yes.
Ms. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Aranch?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We'll see you guys next time.